Hey there, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding live streaming video chat for Friday, September the 21st. And during today's video chat, I'm going to be addressing some of the motivational and mindset factors that go into reaching your bodybuilding and fitness goals. And this is a very important aspect of the whole process. I mean, you can have all the how-to strategies that you like, the how-to when it comes to working out, how-to when it comes to structuring your diet, how-to in terms of nutrition and supplementation strategies, all that kind of stuff. You can know how to do it and what to do. But if you don't have a big enough reason why you want to do this, and to make that why bigger than yourself and have that front and center in your mind, then you're not going to follow through and do what you're capable of doing in order to truly reach your fitness goals. So that's one of the things we're going to discuss today. And while I'm in the, I have a few things I have to organize here on my end. While I'm doing that right now, I encourage you, for those of you watching live, type in the chat window some of the motivating factors that you have for wanting to build muscle and get in shape. Be that, you want to build muscular body weight, you want to lose excess body fat, any specific sport related goals that you have. Please type them into the chat window and let me know what it is that you'd like to achieve and why you'd like to achieve it. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to get a couple things organized on my end, and then we'll take it from there. All right. And in addition to that, for those of you watching live, if you can hear me and see me, if this is coming through loud and clear, can you please type into the chat window and let me know? Always nice to know that this is coming through and that you can hear me and see me before I start getting into discussing any important topics or answering any questions that you may have. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. All right, we have several viewers here, but let's see. I don't know if anything's coming through on the chat window on my end. Just get my. There we go. I don't know if I'm having some technical issues here. Again, if you are live, I mean, we have several people joining us live right now, but I'm not seeing anything coming through here on the chat window. All chat messages are visible. Okay. Just making sure that it is coming through loud and clear. I might end up restarting this video chat because I don't think it's coming through, obviously. At least it's not on my end. All right, before I restart this video chat, I'm just going to give it one more shout out, one more chance. If you are tuning in live and you can hear me and see me, can you please type into the chat window and let me know if it is coming through loud and clear? If not, then I am going to have to restart it from my end because it's not working from my end of the video chat. Nope. Okay, I'm going to just refresh my screen, see if that makes a difference. All right, this is awkward, but it happens. It happens. Okay, there, I just refreshed the screen, and now everything's just came up through fine. Okay. I knew it was strange. I got all these people tuning in live and not a single question or comment coming through. It didn't seem strange. So anyway, I just refreshed my screen, and now all the chat is popping up there. So thanks for bearing with me, folks. I do apologize for that little hiccup that we had there. Okay, just a quick, just double check here, make sure. Okay, Jesse says loud and clear. Tommy, loud and clear. Okay, getting thumbs up. Good. All right, I do appreciate that, guys. I knew there was something wrong because usually every single week when I do this, like say the chat window, just as soon as I go live, I mean that you guys are starting to post in the chat window. This time around, there was nothing. Like literally, it was totally blank. Not a single question, comment, or anything coming through there. So I was thinking there's something definitely wrong here, which there was. So I just refreshed the screen and everything's coming through. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's video chat. And that is, why is it that you want to build muscle, burn fat, and get in shape in the first place? Why is it? And a lot of times when I'm having this discussion with people, either just personal coaching students, people that I chat with online, if we're having private messages or private discussions back and forth, everybody says, oh, I'd like to get bigger. I'd like to get stronger. I'd like to get leaner. I'd like to, whatever it is that you want to achieve. You have that surface level goal of achieving something. Everybody has that. And I say, okay, that's great. Why do you want to do that? And the why is more important than the how to. If you have a strong enough reason why you want to do something, you will figure out the how to. But if you just have the how to strategy and a kind of mediocre why, you'll never follow through. And I was having this discussion the other day with a person. He had a coaching call with me, and he wanted some help building muscle and losing fat. And we got on the phone and we started discussing his program and stuff. And he had a big hang up with even joining the gym. He said, I wanted to go. He said, I want to build muscle. He says, I'd love to, put on like 20 pounds of lean muscular body weight. I'd like to lose the stubborn belly fat that I have. And I was saying, well, yeah, I mean, we can do that. I have some strategies, some workouts, nutrition plans. And he's like, oh, I don't know. That's going to involve me going to the gym, isn't it? I said, yeah, it's going to involve you going to the gym, or at the very least, you're going to have to invest in some home gym equipment. I don't know. And then he started debating it, thinking, well, gee, going to the gym, I'm going to have to drive across town. That's going to take time and effort. Don't know if I can do that. And then I'm like, well, how important is this to you to actually achieve these fitness goals? And we basically come to the conclusion that he wanted to achieve the goals, but he wasn't willing to put in the work that was required to achieve them. And that is the situation for a lot of people. Most everybody, if you just said, would you like to build muscle? Would you like to lose fat? Would you like to be in better shape? Almost everybody, without question, would say, yes, I would. But are you willing to put in the work that's required to achieve those goals? And the majority of people are not, or at least not to the degree that's required in order to make those goals a reality. So you really need to dig deep and figure out what is your why when it comes to achieving your fitness goals. So first off, figure out what it is that you want to achieve, and then ask yourself, why is that? And I'm going to use myself as an example. When I started working out, I mean, I've went through a whole evolution of change through my bodybuilding journey, because when I started, I was literally 12 years old when I started working out at home. That was back, I was just in grade school. I was picked on and bullied in school, like a lot of kids are, unfortunately. And that was one of my biggest motivating factors. I wanted to be big and strong so that the bullies would not pick on me, or at least bigger and stronger so that I could handle myself when they did pick on me. So that was my early motivating factor. And that was what drove me to want to work out and start getting in shape. And I was very committed and dedicated at the time, especially considering a 12-year-old. Now, I didn't have any how-to strategies, but I had a little weight set at home. I did body weight exercises. I was reading the muscle magazines that I could get my hands on, following some stuff like that. I even asked my parents if they would get a home gym set for Christmas that year. I said, look, all I want for Christmas is a home gym set so I can work out and get big. That was my motivating factor. And I was committed. I mean, I didn't have a lot of strategies. This was long before the days of the internet, so you just couldn't go on Google and find a workout routine or a meal plan or anything like that. Information was much more limited back in those days, but I did what I could to move myself in the right direction towards my fitness goals, and that was my early motivating factor. I wanted to be bigger and stronger than the bullies so I wouldn't get the shit kicked out of me when I was in school. Boom. That was a big motivating factor for me. And you need to find what that motivating factor is for you. And like I say, for a young person, that is huge. If you're skinny, if you're shy, if you're self-conscious, building up your body can help to build up your self-esteem and make you feel better about yourself. And throughout school, that was one of my major motivating factors. I was a very shy individual, like I said, and get picked on and bullied. And then that carried on through. I mean, even if it wasn't physical abuse or physical bullying, even if it was just people making fun of you and people putting you down, that beats on your self-esteem. That makes you feel pretty shitty about yourself. But by working out and building up your body, that can indirectly help to build up your self-esteem, self-confidence, and gain more self-respect among your peers, especially in that early phase. Like going through school, you know, it's kind of very crude mentality. But I mean, the bigger and stronger you are in school, that does play a role in the amount of self-respect and the amount of power that you have. I mean, if you look in school, who gets picked on? The weak, shy, timid guys get picked on, and girls. This applies to guys and girls. But the people who are weakest, they tend to get picked on the most. The people who are biggest and strongest, they're going to get picked on the least. I mean, a bully's not going to find the biggest, strongest guy in the schoolyard and try and pick on him, because chances are he's going to get his ass kicked. So they're going to pick on the people who are weak and who they deem to feel weak and vulnerable. So if you can build yourself up, that is a huge motivating factor. And it was for me throughout my school years. And that was why I got involved with bodybuilding. That's why I got involved with martial arts. And that was my major motivating factor. So I had some drive behind it. It wasn't just like, I'd like to build some muscle, but it's going to take some work. Or, I'd like to if I didn't have to put in any effort or something like that. I had the drive and motivation behind me, and that's why I stuck with it. So for young people, that is a huge motivating factor. As you get older, you need to reevaluate and change, because when you get into your early adult years, it's unlikely that you're going to get picked on and bullied because you're not big and muscular. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but it's unlikely. You're past the schoolyard, and now you're into the real world. Maybe you're looking for a job, you're looking for a mate, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is you're looking for. We have men and women joining these calls, so I'm just putting out there. So whatever it is you're looking for, you're trying to improve yourself, you're trying to build up your self-confidence, and you're trying to basically make your mark in the world. And by building your body, that can be a huge motivating factor for you. And I know it certainly was for me. I kind of have a few things that are working in my favor, because as I started going through high school, I got involved with competitive bodybuilding, and there was a little bit of an ego drive when you make it a competition. And I find that once you transition into putting yourself on the line, as in a competitive bodybuilder, putting themselves online on stage in front of a panel of judges, fellow competitors, auditorium of spectators, once you're doing that, then you don't want to humiliate yourself in front of all those people. So that's a big motivating factor to actually follow through on what you're going to do, follow through on your training and nutrition, and get in your best shape. And that's why very often you see competitive bodybuilders or competitive physique competitors or fitness or figure or whatever, anybody who's doing physique competition, they generally are the most dedicated, and they generally get the best results, at least in the short term, because they are very motivated and they have a lot on the line. They have their ego, they have their pride, and they don't want to make a fool of themselves. And they also have that competitive drive. So the drive to improve. And that is a big motivating factor to actually push them to do what they need to do in order to get in shape. So that was a big thing for me. Also, another big motivating factor. I mean, if you're a single guy or single gal and you want to attract a potential partner, then being in your best shape can definitely help with that. Not only is it going to help you look better, but it's going to help you to feel better and be more confident and just make you more attractive. So that is another big motivating factor. A lot of times you see people who are single are very motivated to go to the gym and work out. And then when they get settled down into a long-term relationship, that motivating drive sometimes dwindles. And that's why if you look at the way most people are, like, for example, you look at like young guys and single ladies, they're usually very athletic and in great shape. Relatively speaking. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's an athlete or nothing, but they're usually you try to stay in good shape. Then when they settle down, very often they get comfortable. And once you start getting comfortable, then you let the pounds pile on and you're not as committed to going to the gym and you kind of get slack. And I've seen this happen. I've even been guilty of this myself. I've been in that situation myself. I mean, I've been with my wife now for, oh, when did we, 1999 is when we met. So we've been together since 1999. And in those early years, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of motivation to stay in shape. But as you get comfortable and you're settled into that relationship, then you know, okay, well, you're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. You're kind of comfortable with one another. And a lot of times people do let themselves go, right? They let their motivation for staying in shape starts to dwindle and they don't have that same drive. So you need to look for other sources of drive and motivation. Another thing that I found in my case in recent years is with my son. The birth of my son has really renewed my motivation for fitness, because now it's not just about me being in shape for me. It's about me being in shape and being a positive role model for him. So once you make it bigger than yourself and you have someone else, like again, a parent getting in shape for their children, that is a huge motivating factor. Use that to your advantage. For all you parents out there who are listening to this, use that to your advantage. If you're not willing to go to the gym and get in shape for yourself, do it for your children. Do it so that you can be a role model to them and have them look up to you as a fitness inspiration, rather than look up to you and say, oh, you know, dad's fat and out of shape or dad's lazy. You be the athletic dad. You be the one who's going to go out and play a game of you know, catch with your boy, or go take him to the playground, or you know, volunteer with the little league games as a coach or whatever. But you be the one who's out there helping and motivating, rather than the one who's sitting back, fat and lazy on the couch, drinking beer and, you know, kind of setting a wrong example. I'd rather be the positive role model, the fitness role model, and have my kid look up to me and say, you know, my dad's is strong, he's in shape, and I want to be like dad, rather than the other way around. So right now, that's a huge motivating factor for me. As you get a bit older, sometimes it's another motivating factor. I know I've talked to a lot of guys, and they're in the situation now where they're getting into their middle years, you know, maybe in their 50s, 60s, and sometimes older. Sometimes they have some health complications. They've got a lot of extra weight on. They've been neglecting their health for years. And now all of a sudden, their motivating factor is, maybe I'm going to become a burden to my family. And we've all seen this. I'm sure you watching this right now, you know people in your family who have, due to poor health and lifestyle choices, have become a burden to their family. Either, you know, they've gained so much weight, they've let themselves go and develop like type 2 diabetes or heart disease or cancer or diseases like that, that for the most part are preventable with proper healthy lifestyle choices. Now, I'm not saying we're all immune to it. I mean, stuff can happen even if you are perfectly healthy, but usually stuff like that can be prevented to a great degree. So if you make poor health and lifestyle habits and choices, and then you develop these illnesses, again, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or you just gain so much weight that you're no longer mobile, and now you are a burden to your family. Instead of you being the man of the house and providing for them, you're actually holding them back, right? You're the one who they have to tend on now because you can't even take care of yourself anymore. And I've seen that happen for a lot of people. And, you know, that's not a fun position to be in, especially if you've been through the other spectrum where you were the man of the house, you were the provider, you were the one that people looked up to, and now you're like the Achilles heel. You're the one who's holding everybody back, and they can't do what they want to do because now they have to tend on you, you know, because you're bedridden or because, you know, you've whatever it is. You know, I mean, I'm just giving some examples. I know I had an uncle, you know, recently, a few years back now, who let himself go and develop type 2 diabetes, and he had to get his leg amputated, right? I mean, that's poor lifestyle choices right there. And just think of that. Just think if you were in that position where you let yourself go and you are now becoming a burden to your family. So instead of providing for your family, you are now in the position where you are holding them back, right? I mean, just think of all the stress that he's causing to his family due to the fact that he let himself go, and now that he's in a wheelchair and had to get his home renovated, all the money that they had to spend on medical bills, renovating the home to make it wheelchair accessible, all the things that they can no longer do because of his health conditions. All of that could have been prevented if he had looked after himself early on, if he had the insights to realize that, if I take care of myself, I'm not going to be that burden to my family as I get older. So you need to find these motivating factors for you. What are your motivating factors? Dig deep and try and figure them out. And once you get those motivating factors, use that to push you to do what you should do when it comes to your health and fitness goals. I mean, a lot of times we will do more for others than we will for ourselves. If you're looking at your own self, a lot of times people say, well, hey, I don't want to do it. I mean, I'm too lazy. It doesn't mean that much for me. I'm past my prime or whatever. They kind of give up on themselves. But if you can make it bigger than you, and again, like say for a parent, if you want to be that role model for your child, or for someone who's in their middle or older years, you don't want to be that burden on your family, but rather you want to be there to support your family or to support your grandchildren or something like that. Make it bigger than yourself. That is going to motivate you way more than the whole idea of, oh, I just want to build muscle and lose fat and get in shape for me. If you can make it bigger than you, you will find there's motivation a lot deeper, and you will do what needs to be done, even if it means putting yourself outside your comfort zone, even if it means that you have to stretch your limits and do things that you would otherwise not want to do. So that's what I'm going to throw out to you right now. I want you to think deep about what it is that you truly want to achieve and what are you willing to do to get it. And if you can get that why, your real why, I mean, whether it's a young, skinny kid who wants to build up so you're not shy and getting picked on and bullied, or maybe you're a middle-aged guy and you want to build up your physique so that you can gain confidence and go out in the world and make your mark. Maybe you're doing it to help improve your career. I mean, just think if you're applying for a job, right? Let's just say you're applying for a job, you have equal skill sets, and you have two people coming in. One person is lean and athletic and obviously looks after themselves. Another one is fat and out of shape and obviously doesn't look after themselves. Both are equally qualified for a job position. Who would you want to pick as an employer? Who would you want to be representing your company? Would you want the fat, lazy slob to be representing your company, or would you want the healthy, lean person who takes care of themselves representing your company? I know it sounds a bit cruel to some people, but the truth of the matter is most people would want the better representation. So there's a lot of things going on here besides just the health and fitness goals. I mean, you can use this to actually enhance your career goals as well. So there's a lot of things going on. I mean, I know some people, like if you're in sales or if you're the face of a company or anything like that, if you're in shape and you are more confident and feeling better and looking better, then that indirectly is going to help to increase your income. It's going to help to make you more successful outside of the gym. So it's not just about, the vanity purposes of, oh, he's all into himself. He just wants to, build muscle and, strutty stuff on a bodybuilding stage or something like that. I mean, yeah, that's part of it for some people, but it can go much deeper than that and take over and help to enhance all areas of your life. So really give this some serious thought. If you do this and write down your reasons why, keep those reasons why front and center, then that's going to motivate you to go to the gym when you're like, I don't know, I'm a bit tired. I don't really feel like doing it. That's going to motivate you to stick to your diet when you're like, gee, I don't know if I want to make another, meal, or hey, maybe I'll just go order a pizza. I mean, little things like that, these little choices where you can do an either or, right? Go to the gym or sit back and watch Netflix, right? Make a healthy meal or order a pizza. I mean, it's just like this either or. The more often you make the better choices, the better shape you're going to be in. And if you've got a big enough why that's motivating you to get in shape, then you're more likely to make the better choices more often. So again, it's an important lesson, and it's something that a lot of people don't focus on. Most of the questions and comments and things that I get are people saying, well, what's the best workout? What's the best diet? What's the best supplement? What's this? None of that shit matters if you don't have a reason why you want to do it. I mean, I can give you all the how-to. And in fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, you go to my website, there's more than enough how-to right there to help you move yourself in the right direction towards your fitness goals. You don't need another workout program. You don't need another diet plan. The internet is full of them. What you need is some motivation, and you need a strong enough reason why you want to follow that information in order to actually move yourself in the right direction. So that's my rant on that. Hopefully you found it beneficial. And now I'm going to jump in and start answering some questions and comments from you, the viewers, who are joining us right now. So let's see what we've got here. We've got Biff Chris joining us. And he's a young guy, 16 years old. He says, will I see results in 1 year of gym training? I'm 16 years old. You will definitely see results in your first year of training if you are consistent. Especially as a 16-year-old, you can definitely do that. Again, you have to be consistent, you have to stick with it, but you can definitely make some good progress over the next year, especially in your first year. So yeah, I mean, what I want you to do is don't be doubting yourself thinking, well, will it work? Will it not work? Commit to it with 100% effort as if you're guaranteed results. I mean, approach it from that mindset and not thinking, will it work? Will it not work? I want you to go for it and expect it to work, right? Go with that positive mindset that this is going to work as long as I work it, right? Don't think this, oh, well, I need Lee to tell me that it's going to work before I put in the effort or something like that. Just have faith in yourself and go forward and move yourself to whatever it is that you want to achieve, right? Move yourself in the right direction and have faith that as long as you're consistent, as long as you're taking action and doing so day after day, that the results will come. And if you operate from that mentality and operate from that, those actions, you will see the results. All right, we have Tommy joining us from Manchester, UK. We have Daniel's joining us. Daniel's asking about the anabolic window. He's saying, is the anabolic window a myth? I train, fasted, then head straight to work. I tend to have my first meal with protein 3 to 4 hours later. All right, that's an interesting question. The whole idea of the anabolic window, if you've been following bodybuilding nutrition for a while, there was a school of thought for a while where right after your workout, you have to consume fast digesting protein, fast digesting carbohydrates. And if you don't consume that within like 2 minutes after your last set, then all your workout was for naught. You're going to lose all your muscle gains. You're going to shrivel up and, blow away like a fart in the wind. That was the kind of the mentality of post-workout nutrition, and that was very popular. And I mean, you used to see guys, and you probably still do to a certain degree, guys would be in the gym right after they do their last set. They'd run into the locker room and crack open the container of protein powder or whatever it is that they're mixing up there and have their post-workout shake because they're afraid that if they didn't do that right away, they're going to lose all their gains. Well, nutritional science has kind of caught up with that. And even though there are some benefits to doing that, it's not absolutely critical. You can still make progress. You can still build muscle, even if you don't have a post-workout shake and if you don't respect the so-called anabolic window after a training session. This is the way that I would recommend it for most people. And this is kind of like a practical way of going about it. If your main goal is gaining muscular body weight, like you're a skinny guy and you want to fill out your frame with muscular body weight, then I would recommend having something right after you work out, such as a post-workout shake with protein and carbohydrates. If you do that, that's going to help aid with muscle growth and recovery. And it's just giving you another feeding opportunity to get more calories and protein in your system. So I would recommend that if you are trying to gain muscular body weight. If you're trying to lose body fat, then it's not that important. You can actually skip the whole post-workout nutrition and just wait to your next solid food meal, because what will happen is your metabolism will remain elevated after you train, and then in that time frame between then and your next meal, your body's going to be burning fat at a greater rate. So, I mean, your metabolic hormones are elevated, your growth hormone is elevated, you have all these metabolic advantages going on due to the workout. And if you don't provide your body with, food right away in terms of like liquid nutrition, post-workout shake or whatever, your body's going to resort to burning body fat at a greater than normal rate after that training session. So you can actually speed up your rate of fat loss if you prolong that feeding after a workout. And I very often do that myself, because where I'm to now in my training, I'm not really like doing a hardcore cutting diet or anything like that, but I'm more in the trying to tip the scales in favor of fat loss or at least weight maintenance rather than bulking up. I'm not interested in getting bigger, just filling up my frame with muscular body weight. Right? I'm, 5'6.5". I'm 200 pounds. That's big enough for me. I don't want to be bigger than that. I mean, yes, it'd be cool if I could be a bit leaner and more muscular at the same body weight. And that's where I'm kind of gearing my training towards, like recomping my body, helping to improve my body composition. But I'm not actually trying to fill up my frame and get bigger. Like, I have no desire to be like 250 pounds or anything like that. So I will kind of prolong the post-workout nutrition in order to enhance fat burning from my workouts. And that's my main priority for myself. So if that's your main priority, then the whole anabolic window is not really a big thing. Okay, what else we've got here? John is saying that he works out to feel better physically and mentally. He doesn't train to bulk anymore, but trains to be more functional. Says he loves playing golf, so I have been trying to strengthen my core. Thank you for this. All right, good stuff, John. Thank you for sharing your feedback. And what I would challenge John to do here is to take that even deeper. All right, so he wants to feel better physically and mentally. Doesn't want to bulk up anymore, but he wants to be more functional. And if I was sitting down chatting with John now, and indirectly I am, I'm chatting with a lot more than just John. I'm chatting with everybody else who's watching this. Why do you want to be more functional? Why do you want to be more physically and mentally fit? Why is that? And very often, when you ask why again, that will take you to a deeper level. And then we can continue like asking why. There was an exercise that I learned about, and this was from studying precision nutrition, and it's an exercise called the 5 whys. And it's a great exercise that you can do with yourself, or you can do it with a friend, or if you're a coach, you can do it with a coaching client. But the 5 whys, and it's just, why do you want to do something? And then they'll give you some surface level reason. I want to do this because blah, blah, blah. Well, why do you want to do that? And then that usually triggers them to go a bit deeper. Well, I want to do this because of blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, and then why do you want to do that? And you just keep doing why, and do it at least 5 times. And if you go through the exercise of 5 whys, usually by the time you get down several levels, you will be at something that is much deeper and more meaningful than the surface level thing. So like if you say, well, what do you want to do? And someone says, well, I want to build muscle and lose fat. Well, why do you want to do that? And then they say, well, because it's going to make me look and feel better. Well, why do you want to look and feel better? And they say, well, because I have low self-confidence. I'm embarrassed. And then you say, well, why do you have low self-confidence? Why is that important to you? And you keep digging down, and then all of a sudden you'll find the root cause of what it is. And once you get to that root cause, and if you really focus on that, then that is going to help to motivate you and to drive you towards achieving your goals much more than just thinking about the surface level of, building muscle and burning fat. I mean, that is very surface level stuff. But if you get down to the deep, emotional, painful points, then that is going to motivate you. And I'm going to share another little tip with you here. People will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure, right? That is a big one. People will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. And look at my example of how I started working out. I started working out not to build muscle and to look better and to gain pleasure from it. I did it to get out of pain. I was being picked on. I was being bullied. I was being humiliated in school. I wanted to get out of that pain. That motivated me to work out, right? What is your pain point? What is it that you want to avoid? For someone who's older, if you have health issues, maybe your pain is to get out of those health issues, or to not be a burden to your family, or to live long enough to see your children grow up. Maybe that is your pain point, but you have to figure out what the pain point is for you. And again, people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to do anything to improve the pleasure aspect. I mean, yeah, you will. But in perspective, you'll do a hell of a lot more to avoid pain than you will to gain pleasure. All right, let's move on. What other questions we got here? Daniel says, I train in my home gym alone, and I have many motivational problems. Do you have any advice? Yes. One thing, if you can do this whole 5 why exercise that I just mentioned and try to find the real motivating factors for you, but there's something else that you can do, and this is easy. What I would recommend is try and get around people who are operating at a higher level. And what I mean by that is go to the gym if possible. You can still keep your home gym, but maybe 1 or 2 workouts a week, you go to a public gym and train there and try to get around people who are in better shape. Try and associate with friends and coworkers or acquaintances who are in better shape. And usually you'll find those people who are in better shape at the gym. But if you can get around people who are better, then that's going to help to pull you up to a higher level. If everyone you hang around with, like let's say your friends, your family, your coworkers, if the average person you hang around with is fat and out of shape, then there's no motivating factor for you to, rise above that. Like if you hang out with those people, then you're comfortable if you're not in shape because, well, they're not in shape and hey, we're all just not in shape together, and that's fine. But if you get around people who are in better shape and you start associating with them, then there's going to be that disconnect. You're going to start to feel inadequate, and it's going to motivate you to want to, get up to their level. So if you want to be more successful in any area, then you have to get around people who are more successful. And you've probably heard this before, but you are the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. So, I mean, pretty much you take the 5 people you hang around with, you're pretty much the average of those 5 people, with very few exceptions. I mean, if you look at the average income of the 5 people you hang around with the most, chances are your income is pretty close to the average of that. You look at the physical condition of those people, that's probably the physical condition that you have. You look at the level of self-esteem, the level of personal development or whatever, level of education, you are basically the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So if you want to pull yourself up to a higher level, you want to be more successful, you got to get around people who are more successful. And when it comes to fitness, usually you're going to find that at the gym. Right? Where it was for me, when I started getting serious about this, I started going to bodybuilding competitions. I started associating with local bodybuilders. I started to, become friends with these people. I started to have conversations with these people and learn from them and just associate with them. And then that helped to pull me up to a higher level and thus got me involved with competitive bodybuilding, which I thoroughly loved. I mean, that was a major focus of my life for several years. But you need to get around people who are operating at a higher level, and it's hard to do that when you're at home. So what I would recommend is at least 1 or 2 workouts a week. If possible, go to the gym. If that's not possible, probably even look into having some, a training partner or someone like that help work out with you. That can help to pull you up to a higher level as well. But you need to find some other sources of motivation rather than trying to be self-motivated, right? That's what I'm getting at here. All right, let's move on. Try to keep this going because I sometimes can ramble on and dwell on a topic for too long. Okay. Leo's joining us, and he says, it's something others cannot do due to being inconsistent. I also want to take my body and mind as far as possible. Okay. Mohammed saying, please give us some workouts or some videos for home ab workouts. If you go to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure there's probably abdominal workout playlists there. If not, just do a search for Lee Hayward home ab workout. I know there's definitely at least one video where I go through a whole home abdominal workout that you can do. So just do a search for Lee Hayward home ab workout and you should find that. Woodulos is joining us and he says, what are the main challenges facing a guy looking to get fit over 40? All right, well, I can relate to this because I'm in that category myself. What I consider the main challenges from my point of view and from a lot of people that I've discussed is as you're in that 40 plus category, chances are you have other responsibilities besides just you and your fitness. When I was younger, before I was a father, back when I was single, back before I had a lot of responsibilities, it was a lot easier to focus on going to the gym and working out. I mean, there was no such thing as, well, I don't have time to work out, because it was like, you go to work or you go to school and then you work out. That's it, right? I mean, that is basically, that was my life. I would, when I was younger, going through college, that was it. I'd go to college, then I'd work out. As I started, working and, of course, building my business, I'd work and then work out. That was it, right? That was my main priority. Now, as a parent and with multiple business projects on the go, I'm spread so much thinner, and it's a challenge to try and squeeze everything in. It's not just about, go to school and work out, or go to your job and work out. Now I have to, right, look after a baby. I have to help raise the family. I help to be the provider. I have other business projects and responsibilities. I mean, there's a lot more stuff plucking at your time, and now time management and priorities become a huge deal. And sometimes you have to come up with some creative solutions to make things work. But if you have a big enough reason why, that's what I was getting at the whole beginning of this video chat, is if you have a big enough reason why, then you will make the priorities, you will make the time, rather than getting lazy and just letting that stuff slide. But that's usually what I find the biggest challenges is priority and time management. That is the biggest challenges. All right, let's see what else we got here. So a lot of questions are repeat questions, so I'm just going to skim through these. We have Luscious Lion joining us, and he says his motivation for working out is to look good for women and for the health benefits. And I can relate to that. I think a lot of single guys can relate to that. And you can take that even deeper, right? Why is it that you want to look good for women? Right? What is it that you ultimately want to achieve? I mean, maybe it's because you would like to find a potential partner, a potential wife. Maybe you would like to settle down with that woman. Maybe you would like to have children someday. I mean, you can take this to much deeper. There's a lot of things going on here. So yes, that's a surface level thing, but you can do that 5 why exercise and really build it up. I mean, what else? Why other reasons do you want to look good for women? Maybe it's because of, you feel that you don't have the self-confidence now, but if you were in better shape, that would help to beef up your self-confidence and make you more successful with women. I mean, there's a lot of things. We can take any reason or surface level benefit and go deeper. And the deeper you go, the more powerful it's going to be, and the more impactful it's going to be in keeping you on track towards actually reaching your goals. So don't be afraid to go deep. Again, really dig into this and get to the root that you're trying to, the root cause, the root issue that you're trying to solve through this. And if you do that, again, you will be much more successful. Okay, moving on. We got some questions and comments here. Jesse's joining us, and he says, I was overweight. I had several health problems. I was also tired of being uncomfortable in my own skin, so I told myself it's time for a change. I also want to be a role model for my wife. That's some good stuff there. You're getting into those deep emotional issues, right? And usually, in order for people to really make a change, it usually has to get worse before it gets better. Because a lot of times, like, let's just use an example, like someone's overweight and out of shape, right? Like, let's say, for example, maybe you're 20 pounds overweight. Big deal, right? You still can look okay in your clothes and everything else, and it's not such a excessive amount of weight that it's really hindering your health at that stage. But if it keeps creeping up on you, and it keeps creeping up on you over a time, then it'll eventually get to the point where all of a sudden you'll hit your trigger point. Like maybe 20 pounds overweight is not a big deal. Maybe even 30 pounds overweight is not a big deal. Maybe 40 pounds of weight, you're like, oh, geez, I don't like it, but it's not enough for me to change. But then all of a sudden, once you hit 50 pounds overweight, you're like, what the hell just happened? Like, and you look in the mirror and you take your shirt off and you just grab this big flabby roll of gut, and you're like, that's it. Enough is enough, right? It usually has to get to that threshold point before people will actually take action and do something about it. You know, it usually has to get worse before it gets better. And what I encourage you to do is, if you know you're on that inevitable track towards getting worse, try and make it worse in your mind first. Like, don't physically let yourself become 50 or 100 pounds overweight before you say, oh shit, I got to do something about this. Just try and visualize your current actions and your current lifestyle and say, where is this going to take me in the next 5 to 10 years? And take yourself down that road. And if you have to, look at friends and family members and people that you know of in your life who have let themselves go. And, you know, visualize people that you know who are suffering from serious health issues and due to poor lifestyle choices and letting themselves go. And ask yourself, do you want to follow in their footsteps? Do you want to end up like that? You know, do you want to end up with type 2 diabetes, a heart disease, cancer, or whatever the health issues may be? Do you want to be so obese that you have trouble moving, right? And try and put that image in your mind so that it doesn't have to physically get so bad before you take action, right? Try and visually put yourself there mentally, and use that as your motivation rather than physically getting there before you actually take action. I mean, it's sad, but I see so many people, they know better. Like, they know that they should eat healthier. They know that they should exercise, but they don't do anything until they're like 100 pounds overweight. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, well, now I'm going to do something. Or another prime example, you look at someone smokes cigarettes their whole life, and they say, I know cigarettes are harmful to my health. I know, I might get cancer from smoking cigarettes, but they still choose to smoke cigarettes anyway. And then all of a sudden one day their doctor says, hey, you've been diagnosed with cancer and you're going to have to go through chemotherapy and radiation and surgery and all this. And then after they go through all that, then they decide, well, I'm going to quit smoking now. Like, you knew that this was inevitable to begin with, but you continued down that road anyway. Why not, make a change while you still have time? Don't wait till it gets to the absolute worst that it can possibly get before you take action. Visualize and say, well, if I keep doing the stuff that I'm doing, where am I going to end up in the next 5, 10 years? And kind of mentally take yourself down that dark road and say, you know what, I have the opportunity now to change it. And if I change now, then I'm not going to suffer the same consequences, or at least my odds or chances of success are going to be much better. I mean, if you quit smoking now and start taking care of your health and fitness now, your odds of actually improving your health and fitness and living a long, healthy life are much better than if you wait to your dying of cancer and then say, hey, I'm going to start, I'm going to quit smoking and start eating and exercising. By that point, the damage is already done. And I mean, what you can achieve through better lifestyle choices at that stage is not that much. I mean, in a lot of cases, again, the damage is done and it's probably irreversible at that stage. But if you can have the insights and say, you know what, I'm going to change it now while I still have an opportunity, then you can really make a difference in the future. So again, kudos to you, Jesse, for posting that, and kudos to you for taking action. I have a lot of respect for that. All right, let's move on. We have some other questions here. We have Swires86. It says, I train for many reasons. Some big ones are, I was always interested in health and self-improvement. I also have a strong introverted side, and I really enjoy doing the sport on my own without drama, etc. Okay, so he has a lot of self-motivation there. I also like the technical aspect of lifting and constantly finding new tweaks and tricks and so on. The archaic, raw, masculine factor of it also appeals to me as well. All right, so from my point of view, or from this, I would say that you're doing this more so for the self-improvement aspect, and that's great. I mean, if you can be motivated and you can drive and stick to your program and improve just from the self-improvement aspect of it, then that is fantastic. But I know for a lot of people, it has to get painful before they'll actually take action. And unfortunately, it's a lot of times it gets to the point where sometimes people get beyond the point of no return before they actually want to take action. But if you can just be motivated by the sheer power of self-improvement, then that's a really good attribute to have. Okay, what other questions we've got here? All right, James is asking, he says he wants to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. How should the ratio between strength training and cardio be split? Should it be 50-50? That really depends on your individual situation and what stage you are at in your training. For the average person, I mean, a 50-50 split will work. And I'll give you some examples of what I consider a 50-50 split between strength training and cardio. You might go to the gym and do weight training one day, then the next day do cardio training. Strength training one day, cardio the next. Strength training one day, cardio the next. And just alternate them back and forth like that. That is a phenomenal way to keep yourself active on a daily basis, but you're doing so where you're actually spacing out the stress on your body. Because when you're breaking down your muscles with weight training, that is stressful. That's stressful on your central nervous system. It's stressful on your joints, tendons, and ligaments. Then when you do some cardio training the next day, that is lower intensity. It's kind of like active recovery. So it can be rejuvenating and also helping to aid with fat loss, but it's not breaking down your body to the same degree as the high intensity strength training. So I'm a big advocate of high intensity strength training alternated with low intensity cardio. It's kind of like the yin and yang approach to fitness. And by doing that, you can keep your overall activity level higher, burn more total calories, and literally work out on a daily basis by doing that. So that's one way. If you were pressed for time, like let's just say that you only had a very limited amount of time to train and you had to choose one or the other, I would, in that situation, recommend strength training. You're going to get more bang for your buck from the strength training if you had to choose one or the other. But ideally, I would recommend both. Like I mentioned before, high intensity weight training alternated with low intensity cardio for a 50-50 split. That would be the ideal situation. But the next best one would be to focus primarily on the strength training and less so on the cardio training. All right, let's see what else we got. We have Glenn joining us. Is alternating workouts a good thing to keep it fresh? Yes, you can certainly alternate your workouts. Like I say, there's different ways to go about that. One that I'm a fan of myself is to just cycle different styles of training. So like, for example, on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle, we have a workout of the month program. And usually it's designed in such a way that the workouts are complementary to one another. So for example, like one month we might do a typical bodybuilding split routine. The next month we might do a power training program. The following month after that, we may do some sort of conditioning program. And then we might go back to some bodybuilding training. Or we might change up different aspects within these programs. Like maybe we'll focus on one program will be like an upper lower body split. The next one may be a bodybuilding split routine. The next one might be even total body training. But by having different training modalities, what you're going to find is you'll provide unique muscle stimulation so that it helps to spur on some new growth, but it also helps to keep your workouts fun and interesting. And this is a big important factor as well. I mean, if you can enjoy your workouts and you find them mentally and physically stimulating, you're more likely to stick with them and actually make better progress. So I'm a big fan of alternating and cycling your training, but don't do it haphazardly. That's the only thing I'm going to caution you on here, is because sometimes you see guys will program hop from one program to another. Like they might change their workouts like every other day, and based on what they've seen on the internet. Like they'll go on Instagram, for example, and they say, oh, so-and-so is doing this, I'm going to follow their workout. So they'll follow Joe Blow's workout. And then the next day they go on YouTube and, oh shit, somebody posted a video, I'm going to do that. And then the next day they go on bodybuilding.com and, oh, I've seen another workout there. And while that's certainly better than nothing, I would rather you just, do random workouts and be consistent with random workouts than not working out at all. I mean, that would definitely be better than nothing. But if you want to be even better than that, follow a program through and be consistent with one style of training before you move on to another. And what I mean by this is you want to let your body actually adapt and grow and then plateau to one style of training before you move on to another. And if you do that, you'll actually make better progress in the long run. Because when you change up the training modality and you do something totally different, your body it's not accustomed to this style of working out, And then when you start to follow it, your body has to adapt. As you going through that program, your body is going to start to grow. So it's going to adapt, it's going to grow. And the more often you do it, the better you're going to get. And you're actually going to make some really good progress with that style of training. Eventually, if you keep following that same style of training, you're going to get to the point where you're going to start to plateau. Your body's going to get to the point where it's no longer responding like it once did. And once you get to the point where you start to plateau, that's when it's a good idea to change it up and do something different. And how long it takes you to go through this adapt, grow, and plateau phase is going to vary from individual to individual. But a general rule of thumb that you can kind of, do a rough estimate on is most people can stick to a routine for about 6 weeks before they're going to need to change it up. You're probably going to make your best gains within the first 6 weeks of following a program. After that, you'll probably find that the results are not coming as fast. Now, again, this can vary from individual to individual. I mean, I know some people will probably stick to a program for 12 weeks and make really good progress for 12 weeks. And if you do, hey, more power to you. Ride that wave of momentum. Stick it out for as long as it's working for you. Some other people might need to change things up more frequently. They might only get 4 weeks of progress before they hit a plateau and then need to change it up. But a general rule of thumb for most average people is you're looking at about 6 weeks of consistent progress with any given workout routine before you're going to need to change it up. And that's why I like to have the workout of the month program as part of the inner circle. It's not that you have to change it up every single month, right? I mean, you can use your own discretion on this. If you're following the previous month's program and it's still working, keep following it. There's no reason to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you find that you have started to plateau, then you have other options available. So that's why I like to provide the different options and different styles of training. And for those of you who are interested in that, I do provide all my best training programs. You have a whole database of all the best workout programs that I've used over the years on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle members website. All right, another question or comment here, and just move right on through. And we have Matt joining us. He says his motivation is to wipe out diabetes and to become better. He had a bout with heart disease. He says he wants to build muscle, burn fat, and look better at 50. Good stuff. Those are some deep, motivating pain points for sure. And again, if I ask you, why do you want to, improve your diabetes and to, improve your heart health, look better at 50, chances are it's not just you. It's because you want to be a better role model for your family. You don't want to become a burden to your family. You want to be there to help support and raise that family, not be the anchor that holds them down. So yeah, you can even take that, step it up to another level of motivation to really help to drive you forward in reaching your goals. We have Moses Escobar is joining us, and he says, Lee, I've been noticing lately that the day after a chest workout, I experience a crack-type pain on my chest when I squeeze or even stretch. What's the cause? I've never had it before. That's interesting. A crack-type pain. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, unless you're actually getting cracking sensations throughout your chest. I mean, it's possible that you may have strained a tendon or a ligament or something along those lines in your chest. I really can't pinpoint without knowing more about you and what you've done or anything like that. But just based on that comment alone, I really don't know what you've done. But what I would suggest is that you be very cautious whenever doing any chest or upper body training for that matter. And if this sensation if it doesn't heal up or it starts to get worse, then I would get it checked out by a doctor to see what it is that you've done. Because I mean, you really don't know. I mean, if you are having some weird aches or pains, I mean, quite honestly, most of the time when you do get aches and pains from workouts, it's usually something minor, like it's like a muscle pull, a strain, some sort of minor injury. And anybody who's been working out for any length of time is going to have their share of these minor nuisance injuries, right? They're not life-threatening. It's not something that really, justifies a trip to the hospital or anything like that. They're just nuisance injuries, right? That's mostly what you're going to get. It's just a little nuisance injury that sets you back a little bit. But if you're smart and you work around that injury and allow your body to rest and recover, you can usually continue on with your training normally. I mean, you might be a little hiccup there. You might have to take a couple weeks off or something like that, or at least not train that particular body part for a few weeks. But overall, it's usually not that serious. But if you are experiencing some weird aches or pains that you're not sure of, and especially if they get worse rather than getting better, so over time you're not noticing improvement, but you're noticing it's actually deteriorating and getting worse, then that's a cue that you definitely should get it checked out. So again, I really can't offer any more advice than that, but keep an eye on it. If it gets better on its own, then chances are it was just a nuisance injury. If it gets worse and doesn't improve, then I would get that checked out. Okay, another question here. Is muscle maturity a real thing, or is it a myth? Muscle maturity, I guess what you mean by that is as people have been training for a prolonged period of time, they just develop this more dense, more mature muscle. That is usually a real thing. I mean, you can tell the difference. Like if you see someone who's just started working out within the last year, and then you have somebody else who's been working out for 10 or 20 years, there is a difference. There is a difference in their physique. There's a difference in their muscle density and in their maturity. And if you have someone like who's in their first year of lifting, and let's say they took some time off, right? They worked out for 1 year and then they took a month off. They're going to lose a lot more of their gains than someone who's been working out for 15 or 20 years and then took a month off. The person who's been working out longer is going to just have more muscle mass, more maturity, more permanent muscle on their frame compared to someone who's still new. So yeah, I mean, it is a real thing. It definitely is. Leo's joining us. And he says, I'm wondering how to get lean as a teen. I've heard that cutting is bad due to hormones and stuff. Would appreciate some tips. That's a good question. As a teenager, I would not recommend going on a serious, hardcore cutting diet. But what I would recommend is eating clean and exercising regularly. Chances are, if you do an honest evaluation of your entire diet and lifestyle choices, you know that there's some areas in there that you can improve. And I'm going to give you some examples. Like, first off, if you're not working out consistently, let's start by working out consistently. Even if it's just going to the gym 3 days a week, doing a general total body workout, and then on your off days from the gym, going for a walk, right? Alternate a total body workout one day, go for a walk the next, total body workout one day, go for a walk the next. If you did that and did that alone, that would start to move you in the right direction towards building muscle and burning body fat, helping you to lean out. Next, let's look at your nutrition, right? Let's look at the foods that you're eating. I mean, there's some obvious things. Are you drinking soda? Are you drinking fruit juice? Are you drinking sports drinks or any high sugar things like that? If you are, cut it out and start drinking water. Boom. I mean, if you can cut out the sugary drinks and drink water alone, that's going to make a huge difference in the amount of body fat that you can lose. Then let's look at the foods you're eating. Are you eating processed foods? Are you eating, things that come in packages and like candy bars or granola bars or chips or crisps or cookies or pizza pockets or hot pockets or all these little things? I mean, I know when I was a kid, I used to have like a pizza pocket. That was a lot of times I'd have that for lunch. And I mean, I didn't know any different at the time, right? I would eat that kind of crap on a regular basis. And luckily, due to the fact that I was working out and had a fast metabolism, I was able to deal with it. But nowadays, if I was eating that type of shit on a daily basis, like, processed foods like puddings and granola bars and pizza pockets and all this processed junk, if I was eating that on a regular basis, I'd balloon up like I'd just be a fat slob within no time. So stuff like that, anything that is processed and that is not healthy, get it out of your diet and swap it out for some real food. So instead of, processed foods, look at fruits, vegetables, lean meats, real food, one ingredient foods. Like if it's a one ingredient food, you can eat as much of it as you want for the most part, as long as, within reason, of course. And what I mean by one ingredient food: chicken, it's a one ingredient food. Broccoli, it's a one ingredient food. Potatoes, rice, fruit like apples, bananas. These are all one ingredient foods. It's just one thing. It doesn't need a nutrition label because it's a one ingredient food. It's just a natural unprocessed food. You can eat stuff like that in its natural state. That's going to fuel your body. It's going to provide good quality nutrition, and it's not loaded down with preservatives and chemicals and artificial crap. Now, compare that to cake, cookies, pizza pockets, Pop-Tarts, anything like that, and all this processed junk, right? Which, when you read the nutritional label, it's like half the box down the label, and foods that are additives that you can't even pronounce. If you're getting that, then that is not a one ingredient food. That's the type of stuff that you should eliminate and swap that out for more one ingredient foods. So things that are natural and unprocessed, you can make the majority of your diet up on that. You don't necessarily have to be in a caloric deficit or depriving yourself. I mean, you can eat till you are satisfied with natural, healthy, unprocessed foods, satisfy your hunger, satisfy your nutritional needs, provide your body with quality food that it can grow on, and that's not going to hinder your hormones or hinder your growth and natural development, but it will provide clean energy that you can use then to help fuel your workouts, to help fuel your day, and also to help burn body fat in the process. So if you are a teenager who's struggling to lose weight, instead of thinking of going on some really strict diet and low calories and cutting things out, think of just improving the quality of your diet and adding in exercise, adding in weight training, and adding in some cardio training and better quality food choices. And if you do that, you're going to move yourself in the right direction without starving or depriving or causing any unnecessary health issues along the way. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we've got. Are overhead dumbbell presses with arms flared dangerous like a bench press? Not necessarily. A dumbbell press, you can kind of flare your elbows out to the side, and it's not the same as a bench press. What music do you listen to both during training and otherwise? I have to be honest on this one. I'm not a big music listener when I'm training. I will usually listen to podcasts or educational programs or stuff like that rather than listening to music. That's my personal preference. If I'm in the gym with my headphones in, it's usually listening to, again, podcasts, or it's usually like audiobooks or programs or something like that that I have downloaded onto my MP3 player, not necessarily listening to music. Not that I'm anti-music, but that's just my personal preference. How do you break plateaus? This is a question from John. How do you break plateaus? I have a full video on this. If you just go search for like Lee Hayward plateaus, search on YouTube for that, you'll see it. But the simple answer is whatever you're doing to cause that plateau. Like, for example, let's say you're following a workout program and you've stuck with that for several weeks or several months, and all of a sudden you've hit a plateau with it. Change it up and do something different. And I'll give you a little strategy, a little insider secret that I use and virtually every personal trainer or strength coach will use. Let's say that you hire on a strength coach, whether it's me or somebody else, and you say, look, hey, coach, I've hit a plateau doing whatever it is that I'm doing. And let's just say you've been following a 3-day-per-week bodybuilding split, doing push-pull legs. And the coach is going to look at you and say, okay, yeah, you've been doing this push-pull legs routine and you hit a plateau. Maybe we're going to do a bodybuilding split routine for the next 6 weeks. So they're going to design a bodybuilding split routine. They're going to use different exercises and provide unique muscle stimulation. Because you're doing something different, and again, you're providing your body with unique muscle stimulation, you're going to start growing again because it is unique, and your body has to go through that adapt and grow phase before it's going to eventually plateau again. They might do something else. Maybe if you've been following push-pull legs, they're going to have you do, hey, total body workouts. Again, it's just something different. Or maybe they'll still have you do a push-pull legs, but they'll totally change up the set and rep pattern or change up the exercises. But bottom line, change what you are doing that causes the plateau in the first place, and that is going to help to bust past that plateau. So just turn it upside down. If you're doing all heavy low rep training, maybe you're doing something like a 5x5 program, well then let's switch it up and do it 10x10 German volume training. Just that alone, I mean, it's just like a full 180 in terms of the training and muscle stimulation that you're providing. If you can turn it around, you're going to help to provide unique muscle stimulation and get your body growing again. So that's a strategy. If you're looking for a quick and easy way to bust past the plateau, look at what you're doing and then basically do the opposite. All right, I'm going to get ready and clue this one up, guys, because we have been going here for over an hour, and my wife has dinner on the table. I can smell the dinner cooking. She has it out there, and of course the nice aroma. I believe she has chicken and potatoes and vegetables on the stove there. All one ingredient foods, by the way. So she has a good healthy supper on the table for us. So I'm going to get ready and clue it up and head out and join my family for that. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you found some benefit from this video chat today. And the big takeaway is, again, when it comes to reaching your muscle building and fat loss goals, I want you to go deeper and find your why. What is your motivating factor that's going to push you to actually achieve those goals? And if possible, make that motivating factor bigger than yourself. If you can make it about others, where you want to get in shape, not just for yourself, but to help with your family, to help improve other situations or other areas of your life, or to help motivate others. Like in my case, I want to be a positive role model for my son. I want to help support my family. I want to, be that, I guess, the positive role model and not be a hindrance or a burden. That's my motivating factor. It's more than just me and my selfish reasons, but I'm doing it for them. Then that is so much more motivating, and it's more inspiring for you to actually follow through and get your ass off the couch when you're like, I don't know if I want to do it today, but then you're thinking, hey, I'm doing it for them. So if you can make your why bigger than yourself and do it for someone else, that will help to motivate you. And of course, if you would like some help with this, if you're having some issues, you're having some struggles with your workouts, whether it's the actual how-to stuff where you need help with structuring out a workout plan or structuring out a meal plan, or maybe you have some internal issues, meaning that you're struggling with your motivation and finding your why and the reason for doing this, and you need some help with the motivation side, I invite you to join me for a free 20-minute coaching call. This is something that I do offer, and if you are interested in this, just head on over to my website, leehayward.com. Up there in the top menu bar, you will see a link that says coaching. Click on that link that says coaching, and you can sign up for a free 20-minute coaching call where you and I will get on the phone. We'll have a conversation about you and your situation, and we'll come up with some realistic strategies for how you can overcome the challenges that you're dealing with and move forwards in reaching your personal fitness goals. So if this is something that you're interested in, you're actually serious about making some improvements and taking action, but you would like some help, then I invite you to join me for a free 20-minute coaching call, and I'll be more than happy to hop on the phone and talk to you about your personal situation and come up with some realistic strategies to help you move forwards. So head on over to leehayward.com and click on the coaching tab up in the top menu bar if you are interested in that. And other than that, have yourself a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to talking to you next Friday. So take care, over and out.